to create a little bit of interest and to create a bit of drive, but also perhaps to keep the energy and the narrative of the innings going, when sometimes in T20 cricket you can get a little bit of a lull between overs, say 6 and 15.
I like it, but you see, I also like a little bit of ebb and flow to a game as well. I wouldn't want to see that lost. But that's fascinating to hear that, and it makes sound listening, doesn't it? And sound logic, really, behind all of that. I also like to think of situations and matches where we did get it in the Bash last year. You get it in the Blast as well during the summer, where teams do seem to be so far behind in a game, you almost want extra incentive for them not to make it easier if they've not been doing well to win a game, but still to have an interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
to still
absolutely
be competitive within the game, which is why I was also looking at the possibility of you pick up a few points along the way for keeping going, really. It doesn't happen. It shouldn't really, if you think about it, it shouldn't really happen in T20 cricket. A T20 game should really have both teams interested right to the end, shouldn't it, more or less? But it doesn't always play out that way.
It doesn't always play out like that. And you also have a situation, as the over starts, Cartwright is on strike. Kuhnemann moving in to bowl to him, and it's going to be how many from this first delivery of the over? Just one. Clipped down the ground, and it's well collected. In fact, they may push for the second, because that's good running. Max was so quick, and they get that second run. And so the equation, 58 from 59 deliveries. Yeah, you could have a circumstance where a side is in a position where they've lost a lot of wickets, and the run chase in terms of winning the game is out of hand, but they could still get that bonus point at the midway stage of the innings. So there's plenty of nuance to it all as Kuhnemann bowls, and it's a single out to log off Cartwright, driving down the ground for his 29th run, and the score moves on to 69 for 3. So I think as we see this tournament go on, there is perhaps more subtlety to these changes that could really create some interesting developments for the T20 game, not just in Australia, but going forward in other leagues as well. So we'll keep an eye on how it all works. I'm a big fan, I think, of innovation, just to try and give things more context and more intrigue, and hopefully we will see that in this tournament. Maxwell on strike then, 22 from 11 for him. He's deep in the crease, working the ball into the leg side. We'll pick up one, and we'll be happy with just that single as the throw comes in from Laughlin, and 70 for 3 is the score. 56 needed from 57. In terms of things needed, well, the Brisbane Heat need another wicket. Kuhnemann moving in, round the wicket, left arm spin to Cartwright, tossed up outside the off stump, will be signalled wide, I'm sure, by the umpire, and indeed it is. And so that equation shifts to 55 from 57 balls. Kuhnemann will have to bowl that one again. He's been good so far. Moves in, down the track comes Cartwright, driving as far as short extra cover, no run. And the over continues with just a gentle procession, really, for the Stars as they cruise towards their target. 55 from 56 needed. That's now runnable 55 from 55. The early wickets created intrigue, but you just feel that there's going to have to be another little flurry to really set this match going again. Cartwright on 29. Kuhnemann moving into him. Down the track, Cartwright lofts down the ground. Now that's going to be 6. It is comfortably 6. It bursts into that seating, that blue seating. The ball collected by a young supporter in a grey bobble hat who throws the ball in, looks delighted to have got his hands on that cricket ball that was just sent miles from Cartwright. The over comes to an end with a 6, 77 for 3, the third 6 of the innings.
I was about to say all they need to do now is just keep this ball ticking along, pick up singles, and they're there. It's going along comfortably again for the Stars, but they don't play the cricket that way, do they? If it's there to be hit, they will hit it. I also mentioned that they're in Hobart last night. It looks as if it was a bit chilly. Well, as you just mentioned, there are actually 1 or 2 bobble hats out on display tonight in Canberra as well. So it's not exactly roasting weather for the spectators, and lucky they are, of course, spectators, to be at the grounds, even if not in the numbers we would like to see, but they are there at least.
And they are, I think, very near. That child that picked up the ball's carrying a cup of something, and that ball, such was the height it came down from, we're seeing on our TV monitors now, it has actually made a hole in one of those plastic chairs. It's burst right through it. I wonder if the ball's taken some damage as well, but that is a serious bit of damage done not just to the run chase, but also to the infrastructure of the Manuka Oval. Laughlin back into the attack and driven away nicely by Maxwell. He'll pick up a couple of runs as it's well collected by Max Bryant running round from long off. Maxwell moving his score on to 25. It's 47 needed from 53. Not often you see a plastic seat demolished like that, Kevin.
No, as you say, that had a bit of power. It also has me very worried because there were 4 kids all on their own there. I'm glad it was the chair that took it.
Well, quite. It must have come down from some height, that ball. I mean, it went a mile up, but it also had the legs on it. Often it's one or the other, but that was a real hit. Oh, Maxwell looking to play that little ramp down towards third man. Misses the ball, goes through to the keeper. And Pearson applauds the efforts of Ben Laughlin, who gets a dot ball. 47 needed from 52. Leading BBL wicket taker, Ben Laughlin, 38 years old. He's played for the Hurricanes and the Strikers previously, and international cricket as well for Australia, not for a little while. He's an experienced campaigner, as Maxwell, another who has played plenty of cricket, not just in the BBL but around the world, picks up a single out to deep cover. And the score moves on to 80 for 3, 46 from 51. So the Melbourne Stars, they've already got their bash boost point for passing where the Brisbane Heat were at the halfway stage of their innings. We saw that yesterday with the Sydney Sixers. They went on to lose the game, though. It looks less likely for the Stars today. Full toss, helped round the corner. Will be one. Quite make the most of that, Cartwright. And the score, 81 for 3. 2 balls left of the 12th over. The required run rate stands at just 5.4, so you'd fancy that they've got this well in hand. Apart from a potential prospect, it's always there in T20 cricket. Things changing quickly with an over, either with wickets or that doesn't go for many runs, but that's more runs off the outside edge of Glenn Maxwell's bat. Not totally in control of the shot, but he does pick up 4 down to third man, flies away, fielder up inside the circle, and a smile on the face of the Melbourne Stars captain, who moves on to 30.
We were looking for words, was it drip, trickle, when it came to trying to describe the Brisbane Heat innings. The game itself could be moving into that territory very, very quickly, couldn't it? In terms of its outcome as well, because they're looking so strong.
Yeah, it's just all looking a little easy at the moment. Maxwell on strike. It's on the pads. It's an appeal from Laughlin, but I don't think that was necessarily doing much to convince the umpire. And he's got a bit of a rueful smile. I think he knew that as well, the bowler. 41 needed from 48. 12 overs gone, with Cartwright on 36, Maxwell on 30, and this partnership continuing to build. The last wicket to have fallen was 51 runs ago when Ben Dunk was caught by Laughlin off the bowling of Wood. We also saw Marcus Stoinis dismissed without scoring. We've seen that a lot of times so far in this tournament. Happened a couple of times yesterday with openers for the Hobart Hurricanes out for ducks, both Darcy Short and also Will Jacks. But today it is the turn of Marcus Stoinis to be dismissed without scoring, opening the batting. Andre Fletcher made 12. And the 2 in the middle at the moment, Maxwell on 30 and Cartwright 36. Are going along very nicely indeed. It'll be Cartwright on strike with Kuhnemann to bowl his final over. Left arm spin. Maxwell calls through for the single, which is taken as Cartwright moves on to 37. 40 needed from 47, just a little chip down the ground. This all looks very, very easy at the moment. I don't quite know where the Brisbane Heat can turn to try and put a bit of pressure on the Melbourne Stars. Maxwell, whose green uniform is almost exactly the same shade as the grass around him, is waiting, driving without much timing. We'll get 1 run up towards long off. He almost looks like a sort of floating head out there in the middle, Maxwell, with that green. He's a sort of human green screen. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's really, it's uncanny. Maxwell wearing the baseball cap is at the non-striker's end. Cartwright waiting, a little bit shorter this time from Kuhnemann. Into the leg side it goes. 1 run taken.
It's asking a lot of some young bowlers here, up against the experience of Maxwell and Cartwright as well, and not a lot to defend. It'll make them better in the end, Henry.
Well, yeah, these experiences Good for young cricketers. Kuhnemann, I'm not sure he'll be feeling like that at the moment as Maxwell swings hard into the leg side. Work to do in the deep for the fielder, who does well, throws in from deep mid-wicket, and 1 run is taken. We've got 2 balls left of the over, 37 needed from 44. We'll wait to see that signal from the umpire that says that the power surge has been taken when the fielding restrictions come back in for 2 overs. Down the track comes Cartwright, driving into the offside. Well stopped by Bryant inside the circle in the offside. And there's no run. Kuhnemann to bowl his final over of a 4-over spell. He's taken 1 for 23, and he's moving in now around the wicket to Cartwright. Ooh, good ball right on the toes of the batsman, who's hobbling away as that one speared into the laces of his boots. And 13 overs have gone, 89 for 3, and we'll give Kevin Howes a break and welcome Ebony Rainford Brent back to the commentary box. And Ebbs 37 from 42. Looks like the Melbourne Stars game. What can the Heat do to turn this around?
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. It's a tricky one. We keep talking about wickets, and they did that early on. They got the key breakthrough up front and then chipped away, and then Wood came in with his first ball. But since then, you know, once these two have got set, and the difference is, look, it's not the easiest wicket to bat on, but I think what we've seen from Cartwright and from Maxwell is that they can adjust, and they've found ways to score and occasionally pick up the boundary. So, you know, I'm not too sure. They've got to create pressure, and they've got to go for the wicket. So it'll be interesting to see what Lynn's tactics will be.
Well, he's turned to the debutant from Essex, Dan Lawrence, who across a 20-over career has taken 21 wickets. So, you know, he's certainly somebody that can do an effective job with the ball. He's been signed more for his batting. He's got a big smile on his face as he has a conversation, I was going to say with Jeff Lynne, but it's Chris Lynne. Jeff Lynne of 70s rock band Electric Light Orchestra. It would be a surprise if he was out in the middle captaining the Brisbane Heat. It is very much Chris Lynne. Okay. And he's chatting to Dan Lawrence, who is now ready to go with Maxwell on 32. He's got a pair of these shiny green pads as well. I think they've got a job lot into the Melbourne Stars camp this tournament. Maxwell on 32. Lawrence is in. Oh, it's a filthy delivery down the leg side. It'll be signalled wide, and Maxwell just looks up and says, I mean, that, you know, that really isn't even worth me chasing. Maxwell waits as Lawrence tosses the ball from one hand to the other, coming round the wicket now. He's off spin, in. That's a better ball. Gets Maxwell in a bit of tangle. He looks up and says, well, maybe you can bowl a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of bounce there as well. Bit of turn off the surface. He's gone for that sort of defensive line in the leg side. The only thing I'm nervous about is that Maxwell just lines him up, picks his angle. He's opened up his stance.
It's a bit fuller this time, chipped away by Maxwell. He's not going to play the big heave-ho quite yet. Throw comes in from deep mid-wicket, and there is just the single. So 91 for 3, 35 needed now from 40 balls. Brilliant experience this for somebody like Dan Lawrence to be bowling at Glenn Maxwell with high pressure, looking to try and restrict the run rate, and from England's point of view, useful.
Yeah, look, I think he's in the perfect team, if I'm honest, for Dan Lawrence. You know, you're making a debut in a team where you'll get a good batting position, you'll get opportunities to bowl, and if he backs himself and performs, that will up his credibility and his his status. Is a really good chance.
He's moving in now, long sleeves, 28 on his back, and he's bowling a shortish ball which is in the air, but it's going to evade the fielder Bartlett and run down towards the fine leg boundary. A supporter in a Sydney Sixers shirt picks up the ball as it bounces into the stand, and Cartwright into the 40s. It's 95 for 3.
Yeah, he's not going to make heroes with a ball that's short and wide down the leg side. That just got pumped, really. You see what he's trying to do with the line he's bowling, but there you just can't really afford to bowl it outside the leg stump. They'll just heave you into the leg side all day.
95 for 3 is the score. Cartwright on to 42. Maxwell on 33, and Lawrence, you'll feel a little chastened by that, perhaps. And he's had a bit of a mixed bag of this over, Ebbs. Some good, some filthy. And he's moving into bowl now to Cartwright, who's forward, comes down the pitch, content with working the ball up to wide, long on. And the score moves on to 30 required from 38 deliveries, 96 for 3. It's now just a bit of a procession, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lawrence Dark hair moving in. There's Maxwell on 33. He sees a full toss, which is whipped out to deep mid-wicket, but there's protection there. The throw comes in with just one more taken. 29 needed from 37. Maybe there's an innovation in this circumstance that's required.
Well, look, I still think these games are so important. Like, clearly, you know, Stars are in a dominant position, but there's a lot to play for in terms of the season ahead.
Cartwright on 43 waits for the final ball of the over and almost bowls, almost plays on. And a little Uber and R from behind the stumps from Pearson. It's a dot to finish the over that goes for 8. 97 for 3 from 14. 29 needed from 36. Go on.
Yeah, so teams are always trying to... So, for example, Chris Lynn might be trying to work out, can Dan Lawrence bowl me a little spell in the middle of a game? Someone like Glenn Maxwell might be thinking, how do we use this surge later on in the season? So all these things have to be worked out. And so early on in the season, even if you're behind in a game, there's a lot of information that they need to take. So, you know, this is not a sort of they're ahead and let's let them run with it. Actually, it's right, this might not be working this game, but what can we implement? Who could bowl me these overs? Who can make the difference? So, you know, if I was Heat, they're behind the game, but equally you want to know who can make changes for you, who can impact the game.
So there's no such thing as a wasted over in this sort of cricket.
Exactly.
Wood is going to bowl the 15th over, continuing with spin. And this is short, punished by Maxwell, launched into the leg side for 6 and put down by a gentleman in a pink shirt who is furious with himself on the grass bank. It was his big moment and he's dropped a sitter. It's another 6. It's 103 for 3.
You know, there'll be all the hype back. You know, fans will be desperate to get in the ground. And he's completely shelled that. That was his moment to...
I enjoyed the way he looked around, pointed at people and said, what have you done to me? And everyone's just, no.
It's burst completely through the fingers. He didn't fancy it.
Next ball's short again. Maxwell tries to repeat the trick, gets a bottom edge, and it just drifts back to Wood. And there's no run. Maxwell leans on his bat, smiling, realising that should have gone as well. The only thing better than a crowd catch is a bad drop in the crowd. Wood to Maxwell. It's short again. This time he's got hold of it. Right then, who's going to take this one? Oh, it's put down. The man in the dark jacket has dropped the catch. It was a straightforward one once again. Look, the fielders aren't in business here because this is short, poor bowling. And Maxwell could have had 3 6s here. He's got 2. It's 109 for 3.
First of all, I'm not sure this line, bowling around the wicket, or into his legs even, sorry, because he's a left arm, is the right option. I think it just comes into Maxwell's arc. You know, maybe he wants to try and challenge him either side of the bat, create more questions. At the moment, he's just opening up his stance and hammering him over sort of the leg side boundary. So, I don't know, I'd be changing my angle if I was Wood.
Yeah, bowling left arm wrist spin. He might think about right arm over if he's not the way this over's going. He's coming in once more. He's continuing, and Maxwell is bowled. Well, he has got him. He plays the reverse, gets it horribly wrong. I'm not sure if it was the ball or bat or a combination of both that's seen the bails dislodged, but Maxwell goes for 46, and there is the breakthrough that could perhaps just breathe a little bit of life into this game. 17 needed from 32, but Maxwell has gone for 46.
That's a bit of a messy cricket all round, really, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't necessarily the greatest of balls from Wood. It just kind of kicked on, but Maxwell, who had really eyed things up, he maybe just tried to do one thing too many. Wood didn't get too excited. But let's not forget that we just witnessed some good hitting from Maxwell on a wicket that's maybe not been conducive to big striking. So, yeah, important innings from the captain.
Yeah, it's always sort of seen that Manorkah Oval is a batsman's paradise, but it's not necessarily looked quite as flat as it has in previous matches as Maxwell departs. He made 54 in the final match of the T20 series against India recently and played some extraordinary shots in the games that were played across Canberra and Sydney. He's made 46 in this game. He is in good form, and England know all about that from the performances at the back end of the English summer as well. Nick Larkin then strides to the middle to join Cartwright. Larkin, who has an interesting international history in the sense that he has played international cricket, but not necessarily who would have thought that he's played for. More in just a moment. Larkin on strike, slip in place. It's the captain Lynn who's there as Larkin just sweeps away at the pitch, gets away a little bit of dirt or something that's become dislodged, and Wood comes in to bowl. It's down the leg side. It's easy pickings for Larkin, who helps the ball around the corner. It's going to run towards the boundary. There's a huge chase for that fielder in the deep, who runs in and throws. And there is, how many there taken? 2 for Larkin, who has played a couple of matches for Ireland.
Has he played any domestic cricket here, or?
Well, he's got family in Ireland. He played for North Down Cricket Club and played a couple of matches, I think A matches, as opposed to full one-day internationals, and spoken about, you know, his ambitions of playing once again international cricket, as Larkin waits full toss, which is clubbed away out towards wide mid-wicket, and Cooper picks up and throws with 1 taken. Larkin on to 3, 15 overs gone, 14 required of 30 deliveries. Yeah, so he's somebody that's sort of, I get, not quite hedged his bets, that wouldn't be fair, but he's used the opportunity to get international cricket experience with Ireland, and speaks about how he wants to potentially play for Ireland again in the future, maybe Australia, but he's 30 now, so perhaps Ireland is the more likely opportunity.
And look, it's every sports person's dream to play international cricket at whatever format, and you know, if he can, and he's already showed that early interest and had the opportunity, I say why not. And no doubt the Big Bash, if he can perform at this sort of level, you know that if you play for Ireland, you might have a chance of providing, you know, some skill for them. So yeah, it's an interesting story, that.
And yeah, cricket is one of those sports where you do see players that perhaps do move around a little bit internationally. You look at some of the sort of early careers of players that may play under-19 cricket for one country and then move along, as Larkin is working the ball into the leg side, single taken, and the ball thrown back in with now 13 needed off 29 deliveries. Cartwright on 43, Larkin on 4. It'll be Cartwright on strike, but you know, why not? If you qualify, you've got the heritage, you know.
I say follow your dream if you get that opportunity and you can impress. You know, you would prefer not to regret not playing international cricket, so as long as the heritage there.
Cartwright on strike as Lachlan is into him, driven through the offside, brutally out to deep cover. Lovely timing, but it's fielded, and there's just the 1 run added. 12 needed from 28 more balls. So 114 for 4. Melbourne Stars cruising towards victory. Last season's form team, and then they fell at the final hurdle. One of only 2 sides never to have won this competition, which seems amazing considering the players they've had over the years. Here comes Lachlan into Larkin, very full, pushed into the offside, but no run.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes teams, you know, they've got all the players on, but when it comes to a crunch moment, it just doesn't click, and they don't get over the line, and almost sometimes your journey can be too easy towards the finals, and then actually the pressure that's created, you know, you're not ready for. So they'll be desperate to get rid of that tag. That's one thing that
Lachlan into bowl to Larkin, who's defending, no run.
Yeah, it's one thing that you know, teams are conscious of, that they want not only success, but they want to make sure that, you know, that narrative around them and their team and how they perform isn't there. So yeah, they've got the players, they've got the setup. I wonder if this could be a year they finally get over that line.
As you say, sometimes a little bit of adversity early in a tournament works in a team's favour, and they can come back strong towards the back end. Larkin is on strike, full toss down the leg side, which is signalled wide by the umpire. Nothing on it from the batsman. It was a chance, but he doesn't get anything on it.
They just feel a bit flat here, don't they? Even though they're, you know, understandably they're behind the game. It feels now like they're going through the motion. A couple of wides here and there, some loose deliveries. I think it's important that they at least force every single run by the Stars to be taken, and at the moment they're just offering up a few freebies.
That's a better looking ball, but it's nicely played by Larkin, running off the face of the bat towards third man, fielded in the deep. 1 more taken, 10 needed from 25 balls, and we have 1 more to come from Lachlan, who's taken no wickets today, conceded 29 runs. Despite the early breakthroughs, this was realistically, barring something remarkable, always going to be the Melbourne Stars game once the target was just 126. Cartwright waiting, driving, good looking shot out towards deep cover. They'll get 1, Kuhnemann throws in from the deep, and Cartwright will keep the strike. So 117 for 4 after 16 overs. And 9 needed. That's all for victory for the Stars.
Yeah, I think for the Heat as well, if their key is going to be finding a way to post decent scores. Obviously, they've got Chris Lynn if he fires, but they're going to want a little bit more, maybe someone like Dan Lawrence. We saw from the openers, actually, they did, they did show some intent, but they looked a little bit nervous. So if they can find 3 or 4 batters that can post a score, I actually think they've got some really good bowling options that we've seen. They could, contain potentially, but I think their biggest challenge might be putting runs on the board. When you're in an experienced side, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, and just having that reliability of somebody that's always going to get you a solid 30. And Chris Lynn, we know how damaging and dangerous he can be for Brisbane Heat, but whether he can do it, regularly enough, and whether it suits his style of play to play like that. Well, the Melbourne Stars, as we see on our monitor, look a very happy bunch sitting on that boundary.
Luke Wright was in there, wasn't he?
Yep. Long-term player for the Stars. He's now there in an advisory capacity. There's Cartwright on 45, sees Lawrence coming into bowl to him. It's a better looking ball than some of the stuff we saw in the previous over. A single taken towards deep cover. 8 needed now from 23. And slowly but surely, a few drifting away from Manuka Oval. The grass bank still nicely populated, but it's not quite as busy as it perhaps was an hour or so ago. Lawrence, short sleeves, moving in again. Round the wicket, dropping short, in the air it goes, it's gone far, and it's gone for 6. And suddenly the equation is now just 2 from 22. 124 for 4 is the score. It's Larkin that smashes it away.
Larkin fancied that. It wasn't that short actually, but he manufactured it. He really tried to get deep and underneath. Had enough time as well. Yeah, well, this game now feels like it's getting wrapped up pretty quickly.
Yep, 2 needed. Larkin on 11, dabs the ball away. Doesn't quite get anything on it though. He's through to the gloves of Pearson. There's a little rehearsal of the shot from Larkin. Just 2 needed. Lawrence moving in, a little shuffle, a flick of the wrist, and now into his bowling action. It's wide. Is it? No, I think it was probably just on that blue line. It's full speared in. The Essex batting all-rounder, debut in the BBL, moves in now. Ooh, almost gets him very close, inside edge onto the pads, nearly another wicket. And it's 2 needed from 19. Games like
they
this,
haven't even needed their. I need to think it's not the surge, is it? Is the surge?
Oh yeah,
the surge. They haven't even needed it.
Lawrence is into bowl. It's a full toss, which is missed time. They'll get 1, so the scores will be level at the end of the over.
I thought Cartwright might have stayed on to get his 50.
You're right. Yeah, because Larkin will take the strike. And unless he blocks the over out, that's not going to give the opportunity. There's a smile between the batsmen. Cartwright knows that he's going to be stranded in all likelihood at the non-striker's end with 1 needed from 18 deliveries. 125 for 4. You're right, no need.
No need.
Be a laugh if they took it now, just for fun.
I mean, I thought they might have done actually, just as a practice or a run out or try something. But equally, look, they're comfortably ahead of the game, so.
No need to show off.
Yeah.
It's a bad game to lose from here for the Melbourne. They'll regret not taking it if they don't get over the line. 1 needed from the final 3 overs. We're going to see Malenko into the attack. Former Hobart Hurricanes man who's made the move to the Brisbane Heat. And was out for a first ball duck, 2 wickets. 2 balls in the Brisbane innings to Hussain as Larkin on strike on 12. 1 needed for victory. It's short, hit into the leg side. It's going to be 4 to wrap the game up. And the crowd applaud a really good effort from the Melbourne Stars. They're the tournament favourites, and they've shown in this game exactly why. Dominating with bat and ball. They've won by 6 wickets, and not just that, they've got to their target of 126 with 17 balls left.
Look, well done to the Stars. I think they've looked clinical all around. One measure is always fielding. They were brilliant today, diving around. Hilton Cartwright in particular, run out, catch, a bit of everything. That's a sign of a team that they've started the season moving well in the field and good coordination, and then you just kind of line it up with all their reserves of just great players, really. The captain led from the front with bat and ball. Coulter in particular he was responsible for 5 wickets, 2 run-outs and the 3 himself. So they were always going to be a tough ask early on when you look at the matchups of the 2 teams, but I feel they were clinical. They'll feel that was a really good run-out, and they've just sort of started the season how they would want to go on.
Any positives for Brisbane Heat?
Yeah, I think the bowling of the opener, sorry, his name slipped me, who was getting the swing.
Oh, yeah, of course, Xavier Bartlett.
Yeah, Bartlett, sorry. I thought he looks like a find. If he can get swing in those first 2 overs with the new ball, like he did, late swing and good pace, that's of interest. I thought the batters needed to look at being more purposeful, because actually there was times where there was some real momentum after Chris Lynn came in, but other than that, I think they've got some work to do, so a lot of thinking to be done. Yeah,
there was a few too many times where things drifted and
silly run-outs. Yeah. Dan Lawrence, for example.
Little starts didn't quite come into anything, and in the end it looked very much like the well-oiled machine that just managed to swat away the pretenders coming into this game, and Brisbane Heat's struggles pre-season have perhaps come into reality in this opening game. But there's plenty of time. This is a long competition. They can come back, and we've seen so many times in domestic leagues around the world that a team that starts badly doesn't necessarily finish a tournament badly, so they will know that there have been little bright sparks. Xavier Bartlett, as you say, on debut, bowled really nicely for his 1 for 28 from 4 overs, and just as we go through the scorecard to look at this run chase, we saw Marcus Stoinis out for second ball duck. Andre Fletcher made 12 from 11, including 1 big 6, and Ben Dunk 6, but it was that partnership between Cartwright and Maxwell out for 46 close to the end, and Cartwright unbeaten again on 46, with Larkin finishing 16 as well. There was just that experience in that central cluster of players that gave the Melbourne Stars more than enough to reach this target.
Yeah, they've got depth, haven't they? And you have to remember Fletcher, for example, early on he showed what sort of player he's going to be. He dotted up a couple and then he started whacking them, and you can see that they're going to go hard up top, but they've got a lot of adaptability and players that can, not only clear the boundary but also adjust in lower scoring games when it's difficult. So they've got they've got a really good team, and let's not forget Pooran's going to join them soon. So the Stars are lined up. It's just going to be about them going again deep this season and getting over that line for the trophy if they can. So they'll have a lot of work to do between now and then.
Ebbs, thank you for your time. Always lovely to see you, and I will just about forgive you for suggesting that working quarantine with me was a tedious experience. I'm still
recovering.
I'm going to let you. I'm just going to let that slide. I'm going to be the bigger person on this. Ebony, lovely to speak to you and have you with us on 5 Live Sports Extra. Thank you as well to Kevin Howes for joining us. Victory then for the Melbourne Stars. We've got more Big Bash League commentary for you over the next few days. A weekend full of cricket. We've got the Melbourne Renegades against the Perth Scorchers tomorrow morning from 8:10, and then on Sunday it is the Sydney Sixers looking to bounce back after defeat against the Hobart Hurricanes. They're playing the Melbourne Renegades, so back-to-back games for the Renegades. They take on the Scorchers tomorrow, and then the Sydney Sixers on Sunday. Both games coverage starting here on 5 Live Sports Extra at 8:10. I should point you in the direction of the BBC Sport website as well. We've got lots there for you to enjoy. We've got the podcast last night from 5 Live Sport, where David Milan joined Phil Tufnell and Eleanor Aldroyd and discussed all things bio-bubble and exactly how the world of cricket has been over the last 12 months. And also, we expect perhaps in the next hour or so to hear news of England's squad for the Test tour to Sri Lanka. So keep an eye out there on the BBC Sport website. Next up on 5 Live Sports Extra at around 5-1, we've got second practice from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton back in action, and after a bit of brake trouble earlier this morning, looking to get some quick laps in that second practice session. That's from 5-1 this afternoon. My name is Henry Moran. Thank you for joining us for this Big Bash match. Melbourne Stars victorious by 6 wickets.
More than a 360. That is a wicked one.
Rugby union.
It's intercepted by Johnny May, and May's going to score, no question.
Boxing. Football.
Steph Horton with the free kick. She goes low into the far corner.
Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra. More live sport, pure live sport. This is 5 Live Sports Extra. As 5 Live brings you one event, 5 Live Sports Extra brings you another. Live and uninterrupted, including cricket.
Shrubsole in now. Balls for Bolter! 6 wickets for Annie Shrubsole, England's hero. England win the World Cup.
Athletics, swimming, boxing.
Trying to get away from danger, trying to find some sanctuary somewhere in the ring.
Formula One. Golf, rugby league.
Luke Gale tries this time. Luke Gale!
Rugby union, tennis, football.
Wigan with a cross from the left. Will Grigg! Goal! It's Will Grigg to put Wigan 1-0 up in the FA Cup.
Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra. More live sport, pure live sport. This is 5 Live Sports Extra. As 5 Live brings you one event, 5 Live Sports Extra brings you another. Live and uninterrupted, including rugby union, with live coverage from the English Premiership, the Challenge Cup and Pro 14s.
What a long overhead pass. Oh, it's taken there by Nathan Hughes. He's up to the line and over. Finipona, lovely ball from Farrell to Jamie George, who's seen some space, and George is under the post.
Plus, international fixtures, including the Six Nations, Rugby World Cup and Autumn Internationals.
The underdogs have barked loudly.
What a take though! It's taken by Gareth Davis. Gareth Davis is going to go and go and go. Interception from Gareth Davis. He's run 3/4 the length of the field.
Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra. More live sport, pure live sport. This is 5 Live Sports Extra. As 5 Live brings you one event, 5 Live Sports Extra brings you another. Live and uninterrupted, including Formula One.
He's about to do his first ever Formula One start. All the drivers are now lined up at the front of this Albert Park circuit. The Australian fans are all on their feet.
With full coverage of practice rounds and qualifying.
Max Verstappen then across the line to start his flying lap. The sparks fly from underneath the Red Bull in the pitch darkness of the Singapore night. Here comes Vettel, faster still.
Plus, live action and analysis from across the F1 calendar.
All 5 lights are on and the first Grand Prix